Welcome, Reds, to the 100% United podcast. I'm your host, TC, and here's my very unhappy co-host after Tuesday's latest debacle, Scott. How you doing, Scott? Still fuming?
No, I'm all right.
Yeah?
All right. Yeah, I saw it coming, didn't I?
I think you did indeed, Scott. Yeah, you perked up with the transfer rumours doing the rounds tonight. Bruno Fernandes apparently back on.
Yeah, from one Fernandes to the other. I mean, it just seems like the press are just a blind man throwing darts these days, aren't they?
It does. We'll touch on the transfers later, but at least it wasn't a surprise. Spanked 3-1 at Old Trafford by Man City. Game's coming thick and fast now. Not looking good at all. The transfers are touch and go. Injuries are piling up, Scott. Thoughts on Tuesday's performance, first of all?
Just upsetting, right? Disappointing to see what a huge gulf of quality there is between the two clubs. You look at their attacking midfielders with Bernardo, Sterling, De Bruyne. I'd take one of those, and they got three of them, you know. So it's as you know, I like to say, TC, it was tough to watch, wasn't it?
It was really, really tough to watch on Tuesday. I mean, as we said at the top of the show, at least we did see it coming. We've been turning over the big teams. We've been turning over the teams that we maybe haven't been fancied against, struggling against the weaker teams. But we did say there's only so long that top managers can be so naive. And as expected, Pep came with a plan, didn't he?
Yeah, of course. As we know, there are ways to win a game, but it's very difficult to do it twice in the space of a month against a quality team, as Man City unfortunately are. They just saw it coming, and also there was a perfect blueprint of how to beat us, again, given by Arsenal, in that you just let the back four pass it amongst themselves, and sooner or later they'll make a mistake and you pounce.
You are right. I mean, I did think Pep's plan was a little bit more intricate than Arteta's.
Well, they have better players as well, right? They have better instruments to carry that plan out.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he did. I mean, it was a varied plan, like we said. I mean, we'll touch on the goals later, but the first two came from high balls, and they definitely squeezed us where we hoped they wouldn't squeeze us. But you know what, Scott? I mean, back in the day when we used to draw a team in the cup and used to say, look, there's the Premier League fixture, we're playing them maybe back to back or with one game in between, even in the Fergie years, you'd think, oh, this is a potential. You're going to share the spoils here. And that when we drew City, I did think, look, that's a bad draw. We've woken them up to what we're going to do. And as you said on Monday on the show, you thought we'd get a right old hiding, and we did. Let's touch on the lineup, Scott. First of all, David De Gea started in goal. So it's the EFL Cup, Carabao Cup. That's Romero's territory, isn't it?
Yeah, his first appearance in the Cup. And it was surprising given how well Romero played at Wolves.
So does that mean De Gea is now the cup keeper and Romero's been elevated to first choice keeper for the weekend?
Wouldn't have thought so, but I think it just, when it gets to the semi-finals, it was a decision I wouldn't have made. I would have kept Romero in there, not just because De Gea's form, but because Romero's form as well.
Well, that's why I'm asking the question, Scott. And Romero obviously doesn't deserve to not play. That can't be the decision. That's why I'm highlighting the fact it might be a decision that Romero is going to start against Norwich.
Perhaps.
We'll watch on that one. Yeah. Look, one of the glaring omissions was Harry Maguire at centre-back. We've been saying it, haven't we, Scott? We've been saying we've been playing the same defenders, the same centre-backs again and again. We said one of them's going to get injured very soon. We didn't want it to happen. Obviously, it has happened. Apparently, it's not as bad as first thought. He might be back for the weekend. We'll touch on the Norwich game later. But it was a massive miss, wasn't he? Harry Maguire in the centre of defence.
He definitely was. And he wouldn't be such a huge miss if the replacement wasn't Phil Jones, unfortunately.
Yes, and that was the replacement. So we had De Gea in goal, Wan-Bissaka on the right, Lindelof, Jones, and then Brandon Williams preferred to Luke Shaw for a massive game on the left again. Like you say, Phil Jones came in. Now, I know you were sort of saying to me that why should Ollie drop Lindelof or Maguire rest Lindelof and Maguire because Jones is not good enough to come on. And I wasn't trying to say that Jones should be playing. I was trying to say that your first reserve should be capable of giving your first team a rest. And he's not, because Ollie doesn't trust him to. Maguire's got injured just before one of the biggest games of the season, because it is. This is massive against City. And we're left with a player that, well, he knows Ollie doesn't fancy him. We know Ollie doesn't fancy him. And it's another big mess, isn't it?
It is. And truth be told, we're left with a player who, if we could have got rid of in the summer, we would have got rid of.
But who would we be playing then at centre-back? Because Bailly's injured, Rojo's not there. Who would actually be playing?
Well, he shows a lot of faith in Axel at the beginning of the season, didn't he?
No, I know, but now,
made him captain
right now, if Jones wasn't there, if we had got rid of Jones in the summer, who would be there? Because it seems to me that we've got we've got centre-backs who, well, we got two centre-backs that we play, don't we?
Mm-hmm.
And the rest are either persona non grata or out on loan.
Yeah, well, Rojo can play at left centre-back, as he did his first year. We just recalled Borthwick Jackson as well from his loan. I don't know how effective he can be.
Yeah.
You're right, but I don't know why Marcus Rojo isn't anywhere near the first team squad.
Well, we'll talk about that later, because there's a tie-in with him and the Bruno Fernandes transfer, apparently.
Here we go again.
Yeah. Obviously, Pep came with a plan, squeeze the centre of the park. He let us play at the back. And like I said, there were a few high balls chucked in there as well. Bernardo Silva, you have to say the strike was unstoppable in the 17th minute. Fred could have closed him down, really. He could have closed him down better. Brandon Williams did lose the header in the middle of the park. On the left there to Riyad Mahrez, which again is something I have to flag up. You can't be losing headers to Mahrez. It was a bit lacklustre from Fred, but yes, outstanding strike from Bernardo Silva, of course.
It definitely was.
No fault for David De Gea at all?
I don't think so.
I can't be blaming him for that, no.
No. Given what he's been chucking in recently, you can give him a pass on that, I think.
Yeah. Again, after the match, Ollie did say we started well. When you're conceding in the 17th minute of the game, that's not really what the fans want to hear.
No.
When you're coming into the press conference or the interview after saying, we start. He said we started well against Arsenal. We conceded after 8 minutes. It's like, how long is the start? I don't know.
Yeah, and what are the standards?
Well, yeah, very low by the looks of things at the moment. Look, it didn't take long. 33rd minute, Lindelof was all at sea, was all over the shop, slipping over, miles out of position. Again, City squeezed us, didn't they? They squeezed us, let us pass, and then pounced when the players they don't think are so proficient on the ball had the ball. Look, Bernardo Silva, the ball through was fantastic, but Lindelof, it was a catalogue of errors. Jones all over the shop too. No chance for De Gea as well, I think.
No, that was pathetic.
It was.
It really was, and it just highlighted how we missed McTominay and his industry in the middle. That he probably would have closed down Bernardo Silva before he would have made that pass.
Yeah, it was a real mess, and again, it didn't take long for it just to get worse and worse. 5 minutes later, we lost it on the edge of their box. Lindelof again having a total laugh. Brandon Williams did make a great effort to get across. I thought David De Gea saved brilliantly. I thought De Bruyne was going to score there.
Yeah.
Deflected off him. I'm not going to blame Andreas Pereira for being back there and actually trying to attack the ball, even though it's into his own goal. But I'm not going to dig him out for that. But it was overall just a catalogue of errors, wasn't it?
It was.
Just
at that moment, honestly, when that went in, how many did you think it was going to be?
Well, at least 4.
I thought 5.
Yeah, at least 4. VAR came in. It wouldn't have been fair, really. Let's be honest. Brandon Williams got the ball and did get fouled, right?
I think so. I would say so, but
yeah. But they would have scored. They would have scored 2 minutes later if they hadn't scored then. The only reason they didn't score again was because they pretty much they were happy with the 3. Yeah, really, really awful stuff. Cut to spots. That first half, Scott. Is that as bad as it gets?
I hope so. I really do.
Me too.
I really do.
Me too. It was desperate, wasn't it? And I know we were expecting a hiding, but you expect a hiding, but you expect and you hope that there will be something to cling on to it. But there really wasn't, was there?
There wasn't anything. There really wasn't. I was happy that we had kept it at 3.
You know what, Scott? I said quite a while ago on the pod. Yeah, I said, they say it's the hope that kills you, and I said it's not. It's actually the lack of hope that kills you, and this is and I stand by that. I really bloody stand by that, because when we had hope, if there was any hope, I'd always, even in the summer, we just lost the title, on to the next season, But at the moment, there's nothing there's nothing to cling on to. There's no blooming hope, and it's worse than everything. I'd much rather the moments of pain. I don't want to go into them all, but even when we did the decade pod, didn't we? We were talking about moments in the Fergie years as being some of our worst moments, because you get the highs and lows, you get the emotion. Mm-hmm. At the moment, it's just like, it's hard to describe, but it's dull, isn't it?
It is. I think it's a result of what these last 6 years have done to us.
Yeah.
Right. And you think back to 2014, Moyes' first season, and we got hiding at home to City.
Yeah.
3-0, and he came out and said, this is the kind of team we aspire to be. And I remember being absolutely furious. And if anything, that was the straw that broke the camel's back with Moyes.
Yeah.
And Ollie came out and said exactly the same thing. And here we are, we just take it. And now the last 6 years have just got to us so much that we sort of expect to get beaten 3-0 at home to City. And for the manager to then come out and say this is the kind of team that we would love to be, and we look at them as the team that we're trying to be like, we'd go mad. And here we are, we sort of just take it, and it just shows what these last 6-7 years have been doing to us.
Yeah, no, you're right, Scott. I mean, one thing I will say is that we need to be very careful of getting sucked into this mediocrity, because it seems that I speak to a lot of United fans. I know what's going on. And it does seem like there's a good percentage that are being sort of sucked into this, accepting this mediocrity. Look, the Moyes year was bloody awful, but at the time, we thought it was a blip. We thought that someone else is going to come in and we're going to be all right again. So there was still the hope there. There was still the hope surrounding those disastrous results. Let's not forget, we had either won the title by a good amount of points or lost the title on goal difference or by 1 point for the last, 3-4 years before Fergie left, right?
Yeah.
So this absolute nonsense that Fergie left a bad squad for Moyes to inherit, it's nonsense. It was Moyes' job to look at who in that squad he should keep, who he should spend the blooming massive war chest that Fergie left. Fergie hardly spent any cash in his last few years, Van Persie aside. And yeah, of course, you got an accumulation of different managers making different decisions. But at the same time, Scott, I do think that, we have this thing within the club that, we got this manager signing these players and the next manager might not want him, and all these weird things that we talk about as United fans. It doesn't happen at any other clubs. A manager signs a few players, someone else comes in and they get them to play. Mm-hmm. You don't have to sign 22 players and they have to be your own players and have 7 transfer windows and all the rest of it. But yeah, as I say, it's the lack of hope that kills you, in my opinion.
No, I think you go back to that summer in 2013, and I think the fact that Sir Alex Ferguson retiring completely overshadowed the fact that David Gill left as well, and we had to replace him. Yeah. And that's pretty much who drives the bus, right? Yeah. In terms of getting players and doing everything behind the scenes. And the guy we brought in is equally as inept as David Moyes was at his job, but he's still in his job. Yeah. The fact that we can't replace him, or he's completely untouchable. David Gill ran the club in a way that was better than every other club in England, which is why we were at the top for so long. And I think when Fergie left, it completely overshadowed the fact that we had to replace David Gill as well. And we still haven't been able to do that, and it doesn't even look like we're trying to do that.
It also overshadowed your old pal leaving the club as well, Scott. Paul Scholes.
Yeah, it did.
He just drifted off into the sunset as well, didn't he? And I've always said, look, even in his twilight years, Paul Scholes made other players look better. He would make the centre-back look better because he's always offering it to him. He'd make the winger look better because he's always pushing him to the right positions. He'd make the strikers look better because he's pulling him into the right zones as well. So that's another thing. But in terms of Woodward, look, Scott, I must say, if you notice, he seems to have backed off a little bit recently. I mean, I kind of think this lack of transfers recently has been due to the fact that I think he is getting a bit nervous. Look, he's got all the managers wrong. Everybody knows that. He's signing players by the looks of things that are sort of chances. People come available, your Sanchez's, your Falcao's and whatnot. And I just wonder now whether he really is a bit worried about his position. So he's kind of just doing nothing. Wow. You're not going to get criticised for the signing you didn't make. You're going to get criticised if this guy comes in and doesn't do anything.
Yeah, I, as I said last week, I'll be fed up if we get to the end of this window and we haven't done anything, because all we hear is we've got to wait to give Ollie time in these windows. And then when it comes to it, before the window comes available, we sit here and say we've got more money than we've ever had, blah, blah, blah. We've still got the power financially. And then you say, there's no deals available. Well, those two things don't really run hand in hand. You can't come out and say we're the richest club in the world, but we're still delving around the bargain buckets trying to find the best deal.
Yeah, you're spot on. You're spot on with that. Should we wrap up the City game anyway? You've got plenty of transfers to chat to about in a bit. I mean, really, there's not much more to say about it. It was Matic came on for Lingard at half-time, went to 3 in midfield. It did make a bit of a difference, but you have to say City sat off, didn't they? They were quite happy with a 3-goal lead. It looked like we were pretty happy with them with a 3-goal deficit as well, really. Took us until the 70th minute. Lovely link-up, you have to say. The boys, they did say that they were going to team together to keep Manchester red. I wouldn't say they did the job fantastically, but at least there was a little bit of spark. Greenwood, brilliant again, threading Rashford through. and another goal for Rashford against one of the top clubs.
Yeah, and a great finish, you got to say.
Yeah, really well, but really, really good. Yeah, fantastic, really good. But really, that was about it, wasn't it? I mean, I must say, Angel Gomez did come on the 64th minute. I was very, very surprised about that. Indeed, replacing Danny James. I mean, we've been discussing this, saying that he hasn't been getting too many minutes.
We haven't been getting any minutes, let's be honest.
Well, yeah, it looks, because he's looking to be on his way out, and then he pops up, in the first week of January and plays 30 minutes. What do you think? What do you think of that, Scott?
I hope it's a good sign. I've been looking forward to Angel Gomez making the first team for about 4 years now, and it'll be a massive, massive disappointment if we let him go. And I just hope it's not too late, because he's been able to talk to clubs now for a couple of weeks. I'm pretty sure that his agent will be shipping him around everywhere.
Yeah. Well, let's hope, because if he is already on his way out, I don't know why we saw him. But Greenwood came off on the 81st for Martial, and that was pretty much all she wrote. One thing we do have to flag up is that the captain for the day was Marcus Rashford. Mm-hmm. Obviously, Manc born and bred. Came through the youth system. Very proud moment for him to captain the side. What do you make of the decision to make him captain, though, Scott? Do you think it was a bit premature?
Well, he made Axel captain, lest we forget, earlier in the cup.
Yeah.
So it might just be a sentimental thing.
Yeah. I mean, I'll be honest with you as a player. I mean, I used to get annoyed when the coach used to pass around the captain's armband was in the under-12s. No, because I thought it devalued the position. I was like, choose your man. If it's not me, that's fine, but choose your man and let him lead the team. It's not a bloody token.
Yeah, it was surprising given De Gea played as well.
Well, that's what I was getting at, Scott. De Gea hasn't captained the side since Newcastle. He came out and he criticised. He said it was the worst that it's been since he's been here. Remember that interview?
Yeah. Yeah.
He was really upset, speaking from the heart. From that moment, David De Gea hasn't captained the club again.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. So, you've got a guy who's been here since 2011, mm-hmm. De Gea signed, right?
Yeah.
He's quite capable of captaining the side. And on one side, I think, that's not going to help De Gea and De Gea's form. But on the other side, I think rushing people into positions is not a good idea either. And although I'm sure Rashford was massively proud, and I'm massively proud of him too, I think it's a rushed decision. I think we're forcing stuff.
Yeah, I can see that. I can also see it as a way to hopefully keep Marcus Rashford at the club long term.
Yeah.
But I'll be honest, we're probably not qualifying for the Champions League this year, and I can't see it getting much better. And Marcus Rashford is the kind of player who should be playing at one of the best clubs in the world. And we honestly got to worry that he's going to have his head turned like Paul Pogba's had his head turned.
Yeah, Brian Robson could have played for any club in the world as well, though, couldn't he? But he still stayed.
Yeah.
So it's not all about the player, is it? So, I mean, if you were there, you'd stay and fight us out of it as well, wouldn't you? So Rashford says he's a United man, so he can put his money where his mouth is as well. We didn't dominate possession, but against City, 43-57, that's quite low for City, isn't it? That's quite low for Pep, especially against us.
Yeah, but at half time was much different. As you said, they sort of sat back the second half. At half time, I think it was 65-35.
Yeah. But it was clever tactics from Pep. It was so easy. God, I mean, we could have done it. It was so bloody easy. But there's one worrying stat, a more worrying stat. 8 shots to 15 in their favour. 3 on target for us, 5 for them. 4 corners to 3. It's the fouls, Scott. 6 fouls for us, 16 for City. Now, I know they're filthy. I know Pep's filthy. I know his tactical fouling is out of control. But still, you're in a derby at Old Trafford. You've lost 3-1. And you've made 6 fouls to their 16. I know it's a petty point, but it still annoys me, Scott.
Yeah, but they won the game. Shows they maybe had a bit more tenacity, right?
No, I'm annoyed at us, not them.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah, 100%. Right. Oh, don't worry about that. Good. Yeah.
Right.
No, I'm pissed off at us.
Okay.
I mean, how on earth? I mean, if we were 3-0 down to City, I want to see some red cards.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Man of the match for me, Scott?
Well, it's tough. I'm actually going to give it to Rashford. He was one of the only ones who didn't get his head down. As I said, I'm proud that he led the team for the first time and a great goal.
It was. I'm not giving one. There's not enough heart and passion in this team for me to be dishing out man of the match awards. I was disgusted really on Tuesday, if I'm honest.
Stitched me right up there, didn't you?
All right, Scott. So listen, let's get a bit positive before we preview the Norwich game. The rumours doing the rounds tonight are that Bruno Fernandes, the deal, is back on in a big way. Federico Varandas, the president of Sporting, Hugo Viana, blast from the past, the sporting director of Sporting, apparently travelled to London today, have been in talks with Manchester United. over a deal to take Bruno Fernandes to Old Trafford. 5 of the biggest Portuguese outlets today have been reporting, and not re-reporting, they've been reporting from their own sources. They've been reporting directly from people they trust. What are your thoughts, Scott? Excited?
I am, unfortunately, because...
You've got to be. It's the only thing you can cling on to.
Yeah, it is. You're right. The first time I saw the articles, I did check the date to make sure it wasn't back in June or July. And these are fresh reports, and it seems that now Sporting are a bit more motivated to sell. And it's so glaringly obvious what we need.
Yeah.
And it's someone in that position. You know, he hauled off Lingard to bring on Matic. And if that's a sign that Lingard was completely useless, I think that's it. So, unfortunately, I am getting excited about this.
Yeah.
I say unfortunately because I don't think that we've got the professionalism to get this over the line.
Yeah. I mean, there's 2 things from my angle. I mean, first of all, I was very, very delighted the news came out because I thought you'd be in a better mood for the pod tonight. So a bit of positivity because I thought you'd be really blooming annoyed after Tuesday. But the other thing is that it looks like some players going the other way as well. That's what I'm hearing. That maybe 2 United players, Rojo and one other, going to Sporting.
Who do you think the other one would be?
It's hard to say, Scott. It is hard to say. There's a few rumours going around. What do you reckon?
Well, I hope it's not Angel Gomez. That's my first worry.
Well, of course, he can sign an agreement with people without our involvement, so it won't be him. Some people are saying it's Jesse Lingard. I would find that a bit surprising, personally. What about Dalot?
Yeah, that one sort of makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, look, Bruno Fernandes is a player we desperately need. If some of our squad players have to go as a part of it, then that's fine. Ollie said he can't speak about it in his press conference today. He said that I don't speak about other people's players. But from what I hear, it's pretty much a fact that Ollie and Mike Phelan went to watch Bruno Fernandes last week. Now, do you really think we should be watching players in January to buy them in January? I mean, for me, this seems a bit of an oxymoron.
Well, to be honest, I think that we've been sitting here saying we've been looking for deals and one sort of fell on our plate. And as I say, Sporting seem like very motivated sellers. And if an agent was to make a call to say, he's available, you might want to get out and watch him. And let's be honest, if they go to watch him, they're probably going to meet him as well, if there is any interest, and see what it's all about.
I do think you're right, Scott, but I think you've also touched on something there that we're so reactive in the transfer market, aren't we? We're so unproactive, and you're so right. That's probably exactly the way it went down. That they came to us, and then we said, "Oh, really? Oh, fantastic!" It's like Ollie even says in the press conferences, if the right player comes available, it's like they're waiting for the blooming call.
Yeah.
And like we always joke about, David Moyes is still waiting for Fabregas blooming to text back, or Toni Kroos.
It's never going to happen.
And it's never going to happen. Look, we will see with this one, Scott. I mean, apparently they were in London today. Sporting need the money. All the noises are going, but one thing I will say is that there does seem to be a pattern of, in inverted commas, potential good news being leaked in the days after we've had another shocker of a performance.
Yeah, but I don't think that this is now just speculation, right? That there are actually confirmed reports that representatives for Sporting are in London. If anything, the lack of creativity we've shown in the last few weeks is maybe forcing our hand, and something that we could have maybe potentially waited until the summer and probably got into a bidding war, let's be honest, now has to get sped up because we're actually in a position that we're only 4 or 5 points off Champions League places, but we're so lacking in creativity. It's so glaringly obvious that we actually need to do something.
Yeah, I mean, you're saying we could wait to the summer, or we could have done it last summer, Scott. I mean, you, me, every man and his dog knew that Bruno Fernandes would be a good signing last summer. So...
But he wasn't a good deal, right? And as we've been hearing, they're not in it unless it's a good deal.
All right, Scott. Well, I've got another question for you. Is the Bruno Fernandes transfer happening because Paul Pogba's going?
I don't think Paul Pogba's going anywhere anytime soon. He's not passing a medical anytime soon, is he? We're stuck with him till the summer.
Who knows, eh?
Something's going to click around February. If he's still at the club in February, he's going to think, I need to make the Euros here.
Yeah, I know. And everyone's going to go mad and say he's amazing again. I know how the script goes, Scott. But I would say just keep an eye on that, because this operation is not a big operation. It's an exploratory clean-up operation. And it would make sense if he was going to sign for another club to do the operation now, so that it's therefore cleaned up, so he doesn't have to interrupt his new club career before the Euros. So it would really make sense to go ahead with it now when Ollie obviously didn't want him to. We both know that. So I would say just keep an eye on that.
Do you honestly think Paul Pogba is going to leave us in the next 3 weeks?
I don't know. I wish he'd left last summer. I told you that last summer, didn't I? I mean, I don't know why. I mean, I said at the end of the transfer window, I said he's going to stink the place out. He's going to fake injuries and he's going to stink the place out. I'm not saying he has faked injuries, but I said in the summer he was going to. And the evidence does suggest that, well, he's definitely stunk the place out. That's a fact. And the injuries are suspect to say the least, aren't they?
Yeah, I don't see him leaving this transfer window. It'll be something in the summer. And
I wish he would.
And, it's the kind of thing, if he has a good Euros, it will drive his value up. Then before you know it, Woodward's going to be demanding 200 million for him, and then we're never going to sell him.
Brilliant. And the best bit is we don't even do any promos with him anymore.
No.
It's not even like he's in our blooming promotional videos or anything now. So it's like...
he's making his own videos, isn't he?
Oh, yeah. But we're not even... Oh, God, don't even start with that. Right, let's move on. Alternate options, Scott, are Jack Grealish and James Maddison. More our style at the moment. Do you see either of those happening?
I would see Grealish happening over Maddison. Leicester are higher than us in the league going for Champions League places. And also I think Aston Villa are more motivated sellers than Leicester.
Yes.
I would actually... There are also rumours about Bruno Neves from Wolves. I would much prefer us to go down that road. Yeah. I think we need something of that quality.
Well, if we got Neves in, we might score from a corner, mightn't we?
Oh.
But the best bit is when we play against Wolves, we still, 4 games later, we still leave him unmarked on the edge of the box every single time we play him. I mean, how? How does that happen, Scott?
Yeah.
Oh, it's crackers.
I found it funny. We were being linked with Tony Cruz last week, and then he scored directly from a corner, and the president came out and said he's not going anywhere.
Cut out the middleman.
Yeah, we couldn't get a player who scores directly from a corner, could we?
Unbelievable. There were a few more names in the midfield going around in the week. There was Christian Eriksen. Apparently, we backed off from that £20 million bid. Donny van der Beek. That's another one that's been doing the rounds as well. So there is a bit of rumour. There is a bit of rumour going on in midfield zone, but I do worry, like I say, because Pogba's injured. McTominay's out apparently for at least a month, and again, it seems like reactivism and us trying to prime the press. So when I see the player with the shirt and the signature on the paper, then I'll get excited. The news that surprised quite a lot of people this week was Ashley Young got offered a new contract, rejected the deal. He's the captain of the club, Scott. Wants to go to Inter Milan now, apparently. Ollie's trying to force him to stay because he knows he doesn't have the bodies. Another massive mess. How's it allowed to happen?
Your guess is as good as mine, TC, with that. I really don't know.
It is just beyond belief.
Yeah.
I must say, Scott, that worries me more than most things because Ashley Young's seen it from he's been here since 2010, I think. He's seen the Fergie. He's seen everything. He's seen it all. And if he is saying, "Look, I want out right now," what does that say about the management, the coaching staff, the structure of the club? I would say it's a really, really sorry reflection.
Yeah, to be honest, I don't blame him, given the abuse he gets from trying his best.
Yeah.
I really don't.
You know what, Scott? I look at Chris Smalling in Rome, and he looks like a man liberated. He looks like a man who's having fun again.
Yeah.
And you know what? It makes me sad because United used to be the place where people came to have fun, to have the trophies, to have the love, to have everything. And now it seems like you got your Lukaku's, you've got your Smallings at Roma. And it does seem like it's nice to be away.
Yeah, and nice to be away from the pressure of playing for United.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. Look, there's one side of the coin where you have to give people a chance, but there's the other side of the coin where the pressure is massive and you do have to react to it. And like we say, we're talking about Phil Jones earlier and stuff, and I know Phil Jones tries his hardest every week, and I'm not digging him out per se, but the pressure at United is so intense, it's so monumental. I mean, think about it. Even we're talking about Ed Woodward today. I mean, if you asked a normal football fan to name all 20 CEOs of each club, how many do you reckon they get?
3, 4.
Yeah, and Woodward would be one of everybody's. Mm-hmm. I would probably say that there'd be less than 3 and 4. It'd probably be 2. It'd probably be their club's one and Ed Woodward. Mm-hmm. I mean, Liverpool are romping the title at the moment, and all I see is blooming United player arrives for training. United player does this player does that, and then you scroll down half a page if you like, and Liverpool have done something.
Yeah, but unfortunately, the problem with having American owners is that they don't see that. They don't see the day-to-day news of it.
No.
And I think that is a massive problem of how we can get so far into a hole before anything happens, is the fact that the owners are just listening to what Woodward says. And it's almost a full-time job to get involved in reading football news.
Yeah,
so I think that when you have owners who aren't even in the same continent, it's tough to expect them to have their finger so firmly on the pulse.
You are right, Scott. I mean, the only thing I'd say is that we are slipping further and further down that hole. And whether people like to hear it or not, we are. And it's getting blooming dangerous. We are really, we're getting to the point where this is not going to be easy to turn back. We've got the template that has been laid down by our deadliest rivals as to how not to do it. And we're just following the template. It's absolute crackers. I don't understand what we're doing. And it is time we woke up to it. Because, like you say, Ed Woodward's been here for a long time now. He helped the Glazers buy the club in the first place. And if you look at the timeline, if you look at when United have started to go down, look, of course, you can say Fergie went out, but it's not like we had the choice of any manager in the world, Scott. Mm-hmm. We had the choice of any player in the world, and now we don't. We're in a position now where we don't have the choice of every manager in the world. We don't have the choice of every player in the world. And when we chose Moyes, and when Moyes was choosing his players, we did.
Yeah, you're right.
Look, we go to Norwich, 3:00 kickoff. It was a classic at Old Trafford tomorrow. We had a good result at Carrow Road. It was one of the results that gave us a bit of hope under Ollie. Apparently, Harry Maguire's got a chance of playing. Hip injury is not as bad as first thought. He did have the injury at halftime at Wolves. Did you hear Ollie saying that he's a warrior? He wants to play even when it's a little bit of a niggle. And I thought that was a little bit of a sly dig at a few other players, Paul Pogba included.
Yeah, but you might be right in that. I think it was actually bad man management that you can't have your most expensive player, the player who you made captain and made completely integral to your team, keep playing when he's injured.
Yeah, no, I agree. I totally agree. Absolutely. I mean, we thought at the time, but we knew Ollie was in a position where he didn't have any centre-backs left. Mm-hmm. He apparently almost played against City, so there you go. When we go to Norwich, they're going to be bottom of the table. It seems like we don't have such a good record against people when they are bottom of the table. Do you expect us to turn them over?
Yeah, you'd certainly hope so, but you're right. Given our record against teams bottom of the league or teams in yellow the last month, I'm worried.
Yeah. McTominay won't be available. He's out for a while, at least a month. Ollie says, I would suggest probably a month and a half or more. Ollie seemed to be trying to put a positive spin on that. He's a massive loss, isn't he, at the moment, Scott McTominay?
He is, but hopefully we can take a positive out of it and make a signing. And hopefully this will push our hand in making maybe 1-2 signings that we need.
It's mental, though, that we have to have players injured. I mean, and let's not forget, McTominay, who shouldn't have been someone we were pinning our hopes on at the start of the season anyway. Eric Bailly, Timothy Fosu-Mensah return for reserves tonight, training for a month apparently. So we've got those two back too. That will help with numbers, won't it?
Yeah, it should do. They played Fosu-Mensah, defensive midfielder, tonight, so maybe he's earmarked for that position too.
Yeah, we will see. Obviously, he hasn't proved himself there, so we will keep an eye on that. Let's hope we can get back to winning ways at the weekend, Scott. It's been an awful few days, hasn't it?
Yeah, and a terrible start to the year.
Really awful. Anyway, thanks for tuning in again, everyone. Give us your feedback on the podcast via Instagram Messenger at United100podcast. You can leave us a review too on iTunes or your favourite app. 5-star ratings are always appreciated. We'll be back on Monday. Let's hope this weekend's a little bit better. Thanks for joining me, Scott.
Thank you.
Cheerio, Reds.
Ta.